This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter driving. Welcome you to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. And the birthday for today, October the 2nd, is Glen freaking Anderson. Now, Glen Anderson is in the Hockey Hall of Fame. He's 61 today. He played 16 years in the NHL for 4 teams: Edmonton, Toronto, New York, and St. Louis. Anderson was known as a money player, basically just stepping up in big games. His 5 overtime goals in the playoffs are third in NHL history, behind, I believe, Sakic and who else has scored a lot of overtime goals? I would say Yzerman, but I'm wrong. Anyway, his 17 playoff game-winning goals put him 5th all time. In the playoffs, he has scored 214 points. He has the 4th most goals, the 9th most assists, and the 4th most points in playoff history. Anyway, Anderson was a star and all that. He actually played for Canada at the 1980 Winter Olympics, the famous Winter Olympics that had the Miracle on Ice, of course. And he was part of 2 Canada Cup winning teams. And he won 6 Stanley Cups. 5 of them as a member of the Oilers and 1 as a member of the New York Rangers. And had 4 All-Star games. He was one of 7 Oilers players to win the 5 Stanley Cups that the Oilers have in their history. Wow. Anderson was inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame in November 2008 and had his number retired by the Oilers in 2009. So, anyway, it was huge. Glen Anderson played for the University of Denver in the NCAA and was drafted 69th, yikes, overall by the Edmonton Oilers in the 1979 entry draft. He decided to play for Canada at the 1980 Winter Olympics. It was amazing. Father David Bauer would help him out. Anderson would score 4 points in 6 games during the Winter Olympics. The Canadian national team program was actually discontinued. He had to join the University of Denver or the Oilers. Anderson decided to go pro with the Oilers and scored 30 goals in his first season. He scored 12 points in Edmonton's unlikely playoff run because Edmonton was not expected to do well against the Montreal Canadiens in the first round. In fact, the Habs were ready to sweep them and all that. In fact, Habs star goalie Richard Sevier said that he would put Gretzky in his back pocket. None of the others knew what Sevier's comments were about because, he did it in French. However, Kevin Lowe, who was bilingual, told them that. And then, Gretzky and the others put the Habs in their back pocket. So anyway, yeah, it was huge. Glen Anderson would do well. He got his career high 105 points in his sophomore season. Anderson and Billy Smith were locking horns in the 1983 Stanley Cup Finals. Anderson drew a 2-minute slashing penalty on Billy Smith, but then in Game 4, he dove. Billy Smith dove, giving Glen Anderson a 5-minute penalty. The Oilers got swept, all that. However, Anderson and his Oilers would take care of the Islanders in the 84 playoffs, denying the Islanders dynasty with their draft for 5. Anderson in 85 had signed an 8-year deal with the Oilers and would do well, getting the Stanley Cup in 85, going back to back. Glen Anderson would have a great playoff in 1987 when he scored 14 goals and 27 points, career highs. So anyway, it was amazing. Anderson was a very decent player. And, only 7 players in the Oilers dynasty had all 5 cups. Not Wayne Gretzky. He only had 4. Let me see if I can remember the 7 off the top of my head without having to cheat. Anderson, Messier, Lowe, Reddy Gregg, Yuri Curry, I think was Charlie Huddy. No, not Charlie Huddy. Charlie Huddy and I don't remember. I'm saying Nichols, but no, I don't know. Anyway, the others needed to rebuild the team. Why? I had no clue. So they decided to trade Anderson in one of the biggest trades of all time. A 7-player deal involving the Leafs before the 91 season started. So it was Anderson, Grant Fuhr, and Craig Berube. I did something on Grant Fuhr days ago, of course. Were sent to Toronto for Scott Forden, Vincent Damphousse, Luke Richardson, and Peter Ing. So it was a goalie for goalie trade, Fuhr for Ing. It was a decent forwards for forward, Anderson for Damphousse, and Berube for Scott Forden and Luke Richardson. The Leafs would rue the trade. I mean, Berube was no help to the Leafs. Grant Fuhr was okay, but he wasn't the best. But, Toronto shipped Grant Fuhr to Buffalo. And Glen Anderson was pretty good at the start. Anderson would play a couple years for the Leafs. He got his 1,000th point as a Leaf in a game in Vancouver. But during the magical playoff run of 93 for the Leafs, he would score 18 points in 21 games, including the overtime goal that got the Leafs to the 3-2 series lead in the conference finals against the Kings, which meant that the Leafs just had to win game 6 or 7 to get to the Stanley Cup final against Montreal. Sadly, though, it would fail. Anderson would play well, but then the Rangers needed his playoff performance stuff because Neil Smith knew about having a lot of ex-Oilers on the squad. So Anderson was traded to the Leafs, from the Leafs to the Rangers for Mike Gardner. Gardner was good for the Leafs and all that. But Anderson was the last piece of the puzzle, seemingly, to help the Rangers get over the hump. The Rangers had 6 former Oilers. And with Anderson's help, the Rangers won Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Anderson didn't score 1 goal in the first 3 rounds of the playoffs, but he scored 3 goals in the finals. 2 game winners, though, which was amazing. And Anderson got a 6th Stanley Cup victory. After the lockout in 95, he went to Europe to play in Germany and Finland. Anderson would sign a free agency deal with St. Louis to play under Mike Keenan. Big mistake. But anyway, Anderson would not play with the Blues. Did not resign to the Blues. After playing part of the next season with Augsburg and the Canadian national team, Anderson decided to go to Vancouver as a free agent. But Anderson didn't play for the Canucks because the Oilers picked him up on re-entry waivers. Anderson was not happy. He wanted to play in Vancouver. He played 17 games for the Oilers in the 95-96 season before being put on waivers, and the Blues claimed him. He would go to Italy for 96-97 and basically retired. Yeah. Glen Anderson, played for the 80 Olympics. He played in Canada Cup 84 and 87. He wanted to play for the 94 national team at the Olympics in Lillehammer. He negotiated a clause with the Leafs to grant him the right to play for Team Canada. But Anderson needed permission from the league, and they had a policy that players with less than 1 year of NHL experience could join the Canadian Olympic team, and it turned down his request. Remember, this is before the NHL had the rights to send their athletes to the Olympics. Canada was not happy with that result, and they took silver in the final. So anyway, Anderson was huge. Unfortunately, Anderson's post-playing career was mirrored by a legal child support battle. He was accused of reneging on child support payments to a woman he fathered a child out of wedlock, and the case was settled. And a lot of people say that was why Glen Anderson was not in the Hall of Fame, because of the bad publicity. Despite that, he's in Manhattan with his wife and their daughter. And he's actually an investor and teaches fantasy camps and all that. So Glen Anderson in his regular season career would have 498 goals, just too short of 500 goals. And he put up 1,099 points in 1,129 games. And he would score 93 goals in 225 playoff games, as I said. So yeah, he did well. 4 All-Star games in the 1980s. I think he was better than I thought he was. Still, I think he was undervalued. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.